The time is nearing 11 at night. You and your squad are all sitting there on the floor of one of the buildings in your base. The time is slowly passing, and you're starting to feel tired, but you're trying hard to stay awake. You still haven't been told why you're being sent out. No intel at all. The military commander then walks up to you, and he says, "We're sending you and 3 other squad members into the woods 6 miles south of here. There have been reports of strange things at a house nearby named the Joy of Creation House. So we're going to send you guys out there, and you're going to investigate it." You and the other squad members get into the large military truck, and it starts up and begins driving towards the location. The truck ride is bumpy, and the sun is now set, and all that you can see out of the windows is a large, dark, endless forest. The truck makes a sharp turn onto an old dirt road, and you can see some old wooden lamp poles that are all lined up on the side of the road, leading into the dark forest ahead of you. It seems as if the truck has another mile or two of driving before you make it to your location. The squad members start talking amongst each other during the drive. They wonder what could be lurking around the house and talking about what they think it is. A few believe it's a monster or some kind of animal, while others think it's just some random people. They're discussing about what to do when they finally get to the location as well. After driving through the dark and bumpy dirt road for 7 minutes, the truck finally comes to a stop, and the lights all turn off. The area outside the truck is almost completely pitch black, with the only light coming from the moon and the stars. It seems like you have finally arrived at the house. The house itself looked like a normal suburban home, yet it's in the middle of a dark, dense forest. It seems a bit ominous and uncanny, since this house doesn't look like it belongs in the forest. It's dead silent as well, nothing to be heard except for the soft noise of crickets. As you looked out at the house, you and the squad members loaded your weapons to be ready for anything that could potentially happen. You all slowly stepped out of the truck and made sure to remain quiet and vigilant while approaching the house. The squad slowly and quietly walked up to the front door, and it was an uneasy feeling, going into a random home in the middle of the pitch-black forest with the high possibility that something or someone might be waiting inside. There was the sound of slight creaking and crackling from sticks under your feet as you slowly continued to walk up to the front door. You and the other squad members enter through the front door and are met with a small but long corridor that leads deeper inside the house. There is a small old-looking radio on a shelf in the hallway, which is playing jazz music from the 1950s. It sounds old, but yet calming. 2 old-fashioned light fixtures, or as they're called sconces, were bolted onto both sides of the hallway on the walls. They were both turned on, illuminating the dark corridor. These lights looked like something you would see in a diner or certain restaurants. You and the rest of the members continue silently walking down the corridor, illuminated by the dim light of the 2 wall sconce lamps. You turn the corner and find yourself faced with another closed door. As you approach the door, another uneasy feeling washes over you as you wonder what's behind that door. As you and the rest of the squad members walk through the door, you enter the main part of the house, which was quite dark, but there were some lamps scattered around in different areas so that it wasn't completely pitch black inside. The house was eerily quiet, no sign of anyone or anything inside, just the soft buzz of the old lamps that were on. As you and the other squad members switched on the flashlights at the end of your weapons, you all began to slowly and carefully make your way further into the main part of the house. Everyone was ready to fire their weapons, expecting to have to potentially shoot at something inside the house, as you all slowly began to investigate. As you began to walk around the house, everyone started to stomp their combat boots with every step to make some loud footstep noise, to indicate that there were soldiers there and that anything inside the house should be warned and not try anything suspicious. The sound of the boots stomping echoed around the quiet and dark house. As the squad of soldiers began to search through the house, they occasionally had to run through different hallways to get from one hallway to another, since the house had a complex layout of many hallways. As they ran through the halls, the sound of their boots running echoed loudly throughout the house, which was still eerily quiet and dark. The squad of soldiers continues to explore through the halls, their flashlights illuminating the dark, empty halls of the house. The only sound that can be heard is the sound of the soldiers' boots as they walk, the occasional stomp, and the sound of a gun cocking every once in a while. All of a sudden, you stop and put your hand up, signaling for everyone to stop. Your ears pick up a loud, heavy-sounding set of footsteps coming from one of the hallways. From the sound of the footsteps, they sounded like they were coming from something metal or robotic. You slowly peek around the corner to see the end of the hallway, and there was the silhouette of a figure that appeared to be an animatronic bear, slowly walking away. Based on the size, the build, and the way that the figure walked, it seemed to be some kind of animatronic or a robot. The animatronic bear that you could see in the other hallway looked as it was damaged, and parts of it were missing, such as its lower jaw, one of its ears, both of its hands, and part of its suit on its lower legs. It was a pretty mangled and damaged-looking bear. You suddenly realized that this damaged-looking animatronic bear that you found was actually Freddy Fazbear. But this wasn't the version of Freddy from the FNAF games. This was the Ignited version from the Joy of Creation game. You quietly turn around and tell the other soldiers about what you saw in the other hallway, and that it appeared to be Freddy Fazbear, but the Ignited version from the Joy of Creation game. The other soldiers seem surprised to hear about what you saw, and some of them are even a bit confused, but they believe you anyways. Everyone is now on edge, realizing that this house is the location of the house that the Ignited version of Freddy Fazbear dwells in. All of the soldiers move up to the corner of the hallway to see for themselves what you saw. They all slowly peek around the corner in order to get a glimpse of the damaged, Ignited version of Freddy Fazbear. All of the soldiers, including yourself, are all standing there and watching as the Ignited version of Freddy Fazbear slowly and heavily stomps down the hallway, its back facing you guys. The sound of the robotic footsteps echoes around the dark and quiet hallway. All of the soldiers who are watching are looking at the Ignited Freddy Fazbear with surprise and awe. The fact that it's an animatronic bear that was made to entertain children, but was now a mangled and damaged robot stomps down the hallway, is very surprising to them. You and the other soldiers realize that this is most likely what the reports were talking about, regarding something lurking in the house. This damaged and mangled version of Freddy Fazbear was definitely lurking in this house for sure. There were several questions running through the minds of the soldiers. All of them wondered that if Freddy was here, then were Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy? And if so, were they also here as Ignited versions? All of the soldiers treaded lightly through the hallway, all of them wondering if the other Ignited versions of the animatronics were lurking somewhere in the house. They continued to glance in between the rooms and doors to see if the other Ignited animatronics were hiding, waiting to attack. The soldiers continue to grip their guns tightly and keep them aimed ahead of them, ready to fire if needed. They all continued to watch and listen to make sure that they didn't accidentally run into Ignited Freddy again. You raise your free hand up again, signaling for the team to stop. Everyone stops, wondering what made you stop. You tell the other soldiers that you see a white light moving around from the hallway around the corner. Everyone's eyes widen slightly as you tell them that there seems to be an unknown light source in the house. Everyone slowly backs up a bit as they grip their weapons tightly, getting ready in case the unknown light source that you saw was something dangerous. After a few minutes passed, the source of the light finally makes its way around the corner, and it turned out to be Ignited Freddy. Ignited Freddy spots you guys and just stands there silently. Ignited Freddy stares at the soldiers for a moment, before roaring loudly, before beginning to charge at you guys at a fast speed. The sound of Ignited Freddy's metal footsteps were incredibly loud and heavy. Sounded like a train was running down the hallway towards the soldiers. You and your fellow soldiers all begin firing at Ignited Freddy as he continues to charge towards you, his metal body being met with a rain of bullets. The bullets from the soldiers begin to slow down Ignited Freddy as his charging becomes a bit slower, even though he is still charging towards them nonetheless. Ignited Freddy continued to get peppered with bullets until he roared loudly in pain as he began to stumble around, the bullets having done too much damage to his robotic body. After getting pelted with so many bullets, Ignited Freddy's robotic body finally powered down as he collapsed to the ground, not moving anymore. All of the soldiers slowly walked up to Ignited Freddy's collapsed body, and they were just looking down at it, making sure it was completely powered down. All of the soldiers high-five each other in celebration of managing to defeat Ignited Freddy and not being mauled or even killed. Everyone continues to look down at Ignited Freddy's lifeless robotic form. They had just defeated the ignited version of the Freddy Fazbear that had been lurking in this house. One of the soldiers calls back the commander, letting him know that they have found what the reports of something lurking in the house were about, and that they have taken down Ignited Freddy. The commander on the other end of the comms line was surprised and confused when he heard that the squad had found Ignited Freddy, but he was also relieved that they had managed to take that threat down. The commander then tells the squad that good job on neutralizing the threat, and to keep searching the rest of the house, in case there were other surprises elsewhere in the house. The squad of soldiers continue to move through the house, treading carefully and checking in between rooms and hallways to make sure that there are no other surprises lurking inside the house. The squad is all staying in a tight formation, covering all angles to make sure that no one accidentally stumbles into something dangerous. The flashlights of their guns are shining around the dim hallways of the house. To make things more interesting, all of the soldiers start running through the halls, moving with a sense of urgency, trying to explore the house as fast as possible, while keeping an eye out for any potential threats. You continue to lead the squad through the different halls of the house, your boots stomping against the floor as you run. The group moving fast and checking each room and hallway with their flashlights as they run down the halls. You raise your hand, signaling for all of the soldiers to stop as you come up to a door in the center of one of the hallways. Everyone comes to a stop, wondering why you signaled for them to stop. As you open the door, you find a staircase heading down into the basement, with a small dim light illuminating the room below. You all can tell that this must lead to the basement. The squad of soldiers descend the staircase into the basement, treading lightly and carefully, not knowing what the basement would hold. The dim lights illuminate the dark stairway as they continue to walk down. You prepare yourself for whatever you guys might encounter in the basement by reloading your MK-50 light machine gun. You pass some extra ammunition to your squad mates, wanting to make sure that everyone has plenty of bullets and ammo for their weapons, just in case they run into another ignited version of the animatronics. Once you and your squad enter the basement, you immediately realize that there are two ways you can go, and that this basement probably has a complex layout of hallways, just like the area where you had encountered Ignited Freddy. You lead your squad further into the basement through the left hallway, cautiously treading through the dimly lit basement. Everyone is keeping a watchful eye to make sure they don't stumble into anything dangerous. You continue to lead the squad through the basement, turning around a corner and continuing down another hallway. As you guys go through the hallway, you notice that there are some bright lanterns spaced evenly apart, illuminating the hallway. Each of the lanterns helps to brighten up the dark basement, but there are a few areas between lanterns that are extremely dark, which makes it harder to see what lurks behind the dark corners and in between rooms. The soldiers all keep a close eye as they tread down the hallway, each of them with their flashlights on their guns turned on so that they can see into any of the dark corners and areas. As you guys keep walking, you notice two other hallways branching out from the main hallway, making this basement even more complex. You also realize that there was also some fog in the basement, which was pretty interesting. It added an extra sense of eeriness to the basement, making the soldiers even more cautious than they already were. You lead your squad down another hallway in the basement, all of you on high alert for anything that might suddenly appear. You all continue to tread around the corner of the hallway with your flashlights on, trying to look for any potential dangers. You suddenly hear the sound of metal footsteps. That sounded a bit faster than Freddy's. The sound of the footsteps echoed around in the basement, making it difficult to pinpoint the location of the source of the sound. other than the fact that it was coming from a nearby hallway. You signal for the team to stop, and as you look around the corner, you notice a dim red light coming from the hallway. The red light was not very obvious, but it was something you just noticed, and it was strange. You noticed that the source of the red light was coming from around the corner, and you were met with a sight of the faceless ignited version of Bonnie the Bunny. Everyone is surprised to see another ignited animatronic, even though some of them, especially you, were expecting to find one. The sight of the ignited face of Bonnie the Bunny makes a few of the soldiers feel uneasy as they keep their weapons pointed at him, wondering what the faceless version of the bunny animatronic is going to do. You and your squad watch as the ignited face of Bonnie the Bunny walks by into another corridor, disappearing around the corner. Everyone is silent as they wait to see if the ignited animatronic is going to attack or not. Once Bonnie the Bunny had left to go into another corridor, you signal your squad to move down another hallway and away from wherever the ignited animatronic had gone. Everyone follows you as you guide them and run down the hallway. You and your squad all run down the different hallways and corridors, trying to get as far away from ignited Bonnie as possible. Everyone's flashlights are turned on, shining all around the dark and foggy hallways. As you run with your team through the basement, you all are trying to keep quiet, making sure that the sound of your footsteps are not too loud, not wanting to alert ignited Bonnie to your current location. The sound of your footsteps on the metal floor of the basement echoes as you and your squad run through the hallway, trying to escape the grasps of ignited Bonnie, since you didn't want to confront him just yet. You suddenly stop your squad, and everyone takes a moment to drink some water that they had packed with them, just in case they needed it. Everyone is sitting on the cold metal floor of the basement, catching their breath from all the running around they've been doing. Everyone is sitting and resting against the wall, taking sips from their water bottles. Some of the soldiers, like you, are sitting down, resting their legs for a moment. The dim light in the basement helps to illuminate the area around you guys a bit, making it easier to see in the dark basement. After getting some water and resting for a few moments, the squad then quickly got back up and continued to explore the basement. The soldiers turned on their flashlights again and gripped their weapons tightly, ready to defend themselves against any more surprises the basement may hold. You and the squad continue cautiously walking through the basement, heading down different corridors, making sure to always be on the lookout for ignited Bonnie or any other dangers that may lurk around the corner. You continue to lead the squad as you all tread down the hallway, checking in between rooms and corners, making sure that there are no more ignited animatronics lurking around the basement. The dim light of the basement makes the area a bit more visible, but not enough to make everyone feel comfortable. You and your squad kept exploring the basement until you managed to run into ignited Bonnie again, this time confronting the burnt version of the bunny. Everyone lifts their weapons and points them at ignited Bonnie, not knowing what his next move will be. And to everyone's surprise, ignited Bonnie didn't attack you guys when he realized that you were there. Instead, he roared loudly in fear and began running away from you guys as fast as his robotic feet could carry him. As you watched ignited Bonnie run away from you and your squad, you eventually realized that he was intimidated by your military looks, as well as the fact that you guys all had heavy-duty military weaponry with you. It was a bit odd for an animatronic to be intimidated by soldiers, but then again, you guys do look pretty scary. You then come up with an idea in your head to toy with ignited Bonnie, and you decide that you and your squad will play a little game with him. You want to see how long the animatronic can keep running before tiring out. You and the squad began chasing ignited Bonnie as he runs through the basement, trying to get away from you guys. The soldiers are running as fast as they can to catch up with the ignited animatronic, laughing a bit as they go after him. You continue to chase ignited Bonnie through the basement, following him down the hallway as he runs away from you guys. You're all running fast through the halls, trying to catch up to him, making sure to keep your weapons close by, just in case. You and your team kept up with ignited Bonnie as he continued to run through the basement's hallways. Your squad is moving as fast as they can, jogging after the ignited animatronic, trying to tire him out and capture him. You all continued to chase after ignited Bonnie through the basement, following the burnt animatronic as he continues to sprint down multiple hallways. The squad is running as fast as they can after the fleeing animatronic bot, laughing as they go after him. Everyone is going as fast as they can to keep up with ignited Bonnie, trying to catch him and tire him out. The sound of your guys' boots on the metal floor echoes through the hallways, making it a bit harder to hear where ignited Bonnie is, but you all manage to keep track of his footsteps. You and your squad continue chasing ignited Bonnie down different hallways and corridors. You all are running fast, trying to catch up with the animated animatronic, all while trying to conserve energy at the same time. The team occasionally chuckles as they go after the terrified Bunny. You and your squad continue to chase ignited Bonnie through the basement for about 15 minutes, having a little fun in the process. Eventually, however, you guys decide that it's time to end the game and tire out the animatronic, and so you begin firing at him, hoping to take him down. One of the bullets connects with the back of ignited Bonnie's head, and the force of the bullet is powerful enough to make him instantly collapse to the floor on his stomach. As ignited Bonnie hits the ground, his robotic body completely shuts down, making him motionless and deactivated. You and your squad all high-five each other, celebrating the fact that they had managed to deactivate ignited Bonnie. Everyone's adrenaline is very high, and they are all feeling very proud of themselves. Some of the soldiers laugh and cheer, overjoyed by the fact that they had finally managed to capture ignited Bonnie, the most dangerous and terrifying ignited animatronic they had yet to come across. After the cheers and high-fives, the squad eventually calms down a little bit and begins to catch their breaths after all that running around. You guys had successfully managed to take down ignited Bonnie, and it wasn't as difficult as you had expected. Once everyone has calmed down and caught their breaths, your squad stands around ignited Bonnie's motionless body, taking a few minutes to recover and breathe after the chase that they had just gone through. While the whole squad was recovering, one of the soldiers suddenly received a call from the commander. Everyone turns their attention to the soldier on the phone and listens closely to what the commander has to say. The commander on the phone asks the soldiers what happened, wanting to know what had just occurred. Everyone starts briefing the commander on what they had just done and what they had just seen, including everything with ignited Bonnie. The soldiers tell the commander on the other line about how they had chased ignited Bonnie around the basement for a while before finally managing to take him down. And they mention that ignited Bonnie had seemed to be terrified of them and had tried to run away. They also mention how ignited Bonnie's body shut down after a bullet connected with the back of his head, causing him to collapse to the ground motionless. Some of the soldiers on the call laugh a little, still feeling a bit hyped and excited after their victory against the ignited Bunny. The commander on the phone responds, sounding very amazed and impressed by what the soldiers had done. He praises them for managing to finally take down ignited Bonnie and commends them for their bravery and quick thinking. The commander then warns you and your squad about the storm outside, saying that it's getting even worse and that it has become a severe thunderstorm. He informs you guys that you need to get home immediately, as it is becoming too dangerous to be outside with the intense and powerful storm. Everyone begins to look up and listen closely to the sound of the storm outside, noticing how intense and powerful it is. You can hear the sound of the wind and rain outside, and the lightning and thunder are very close. The soldiers all agree to the commander's statement and decide that they need to head home immediately. You lead your team back through the maze of hallways and corridors, making your way back to the room that had the stairs in it. The squad's pace is a bit quicker than normal since the storm outside is becoming even worse, and they all want to get home as soon as possible. You and your squad run as fast as you all can through the darkened basement halls, trying to get out as quickly as humanly possible. Everyone is moving as quickly as they can, jogging quickly as they make their way through the basement. You and your team reach the bottom of the stairs and begin running up them as quickly as your legs can carry you. Everyone is out of breath as they climb the stairs and make their way up to the main floor. Once everyone makes it to the top of the stairs, you all take a moment to catch your breaths after running up the stairs so fast. The sound of the storm outside can be heard throughout the building, sounding louder than ever. The squad then begins running through the building's halls, trying to make their way back to the main entrance. Everyone continues running at top speed, jogging as fast as they can through the cold and dusty halls. As the squad runs through the halls of the building, they pass Ignited Freddy, who is still laying motionless on the floor where he had died earlier. Once more, everyone avoids looking at him out of fear. The sounds of your squad's military boots banging and stomping on the wooden floor can be heard as you all run through the main floor of the building. Everyone is moving as fast as they can, trying to get out of the building and escape the intense storm. Your team reaches the main entrance to the building and begins making their way towards the door, moving as quickly as possible. The sound of the storm and rain outside can be heard more clearly now, and the wind is strong and powerful. Everyone bursts through the front door and immediately makes a run for the truck, sprinting as fast as they can through the rain and wind towards the vehicle. The storm is incredibly powerful, but your team is determined to get home safely. Once the squad reaches the truck, everyone jumps into the vehicle and shuts the doors tightly, finally feeling a little safer from the intense and dangerous storm. The sound of the rain and wind hitting the vehicle's exterior can be heard as the soldiers inside catch their breaths. One of the soldiers quickly turns on the truck, and everyone grips onto the seatbelts tightly as the truck starts driving down the dirt path back to the main road. The wind and rain are hitting the vehicle hard, but the soldier driving manages to keep the truck on the path, despite the strong storm. The truck drives down the twisting dirt path for a few minutes, having a bit of difficulty staying on the path due to the storm and wind. However, eventually, the truck reaches the main road that leads back to town. Once the truck reaches the main road, the driver begins carefully driving on it, still having a little difficulty due to the strong and powerful storm. Everyone in the truck is holding on tightly, trying to stay secured, as the vehicle drives on the wet and slippery road. The truck continues driving down the main road, the driver trying their best to keep the vehicle going at a slow and steady pace. Lightning and thunder flash and roar loud in the sky, the storm getting even more intense than before. The drive on the main road continues for about 25 minutes, and everyone in the truck is silently praying that they'll make it home before the storm gets any worse. The sound of the truck's tires on the wet road and the rain on the exterior are the only sounds inside the vehicle. Eventually, the truck reaches the end of the main road and begins taking one of the turns onto the side street that leads to the squad's neighborhood. Everyone remains vigilant and cautious, still holding onto the seatbelts tightly in their seats. The driver manages to turn the truck onto the side street that leads to their neighborhood, and everyone releases a quick sigh of relief as they approach their destination. However, the storm remains strong and intense, with no sign of stopping anytime soon. The truck eventually reaches your house, and your team drops you off first. Everyone says quick goodbyes to you as you prepare to get out of the vehicle. You wave back to them and express your hopes for them to make it home safely. They all say quick goodbyes to you before you grab your bags and hop out of the truck. You make a quick dash into your house, trying to avoid the storm as much as possible. The cold and powerful wind hits you as you enter your home and slam the door shut behind you. Once you're inside your house, you take a moment to exhale a sigh of relief. You're glad to be back home after the long day you've had, especially with the intense storm currently happening outside. You head upstairs to your bedroom and begin unstrapping your gear and taking off your military uniform. The gear is heavy and sweaty, and your gear is still wet from going through the rain. You then head into the bathroom for a quick shower to clean yourself. You turn on the shower head and enter the shower, enjoying the feeling of the warm water on your body as you clean yourself off. The water feels very nice, and you take your time to enjoy the warm and relaxing sensation as it washes off the sweat and rain from your body. Once you're done with your shower, you step out of the shower and dry yourself off with a towel. The water feels refreshing and rejuvenating, and you feel a lot cleaner and more refreshed after the shower. After drying off, you put on a pair of comfortable pajamas and get into bed. The feeling of crawling into your cozy and warm bed after a long and exhausting day is very pleasant and relaxing. You lie down in comfortable bed, feeling the soft and warm sheets against your skin. The bed feels very cozy, and the exhaustion from the day starts hitting you, making you feel very sleepy and tired. Coupled with your exhaustion starts making you feel very sleepy, and your eyelids start to feel heavy. You feel very relaxed and at ease as you lie there in your bed, ready to fall asleep and rest peacefully. You lie in your bed, feeling comfortable and at ease as you slowly drift off to sleep. As you close your eyes and begin to rest, you start falling into a deep and peaceful slumber.